When Lucy unknowingly becomes part of a drug trade, sinister individuals insert medications in her body. They then give her unique abilities. What will she do with these new powers? Watch till the end to find out. The film's narrative commences with the introduction of Lucy, a young American woman who is currently pursuing her studies in Taipei, Taiwan. One day, outside her hotel, her newly acquainted boyfriend, Richard, requests her to deliver a briefcase to an individual known as Mr. Yang. Lucy, however, is hesitant to assist him immediately, as she is uncertain about the contents of the briefcase. Despite Richard's offer of $500 for her assistance, she adamantly declines to participate in his plan. In a sudden turn of events, Richard handcuffs her wrist to the briefcase handle, leaving her with no other option but to comply. Lucy then proceeds to enter the hotel and informs the receptionist of her intention to meet Mr. Yang. After providing her name to the hotel clerk, a shocking incident occurs. Richard is abruptly shot and killed outside the hotel. A gang of thugs emerge from the elevator and coerce Lucy to accompany them upstairs. It is revealed that Lucy is escorted to Mr. Zhang's suite, where she is confronted with a horrifying sight of numerous blood-stained bodies scattered across the hotel floor, causing her to react with nausea. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Zhang makes his appearance and contacts a translator over the phone to facilitate communication with Lucy. He jots down a number on a piece of paper, which serves as the code to unlock the briefcase. However, before Lucy opens the briefcase, he retreats to an adjacent room and instructs his henchmen to equip themselves with firearms and shields. Under duress, Lucy is compelled to open the briefcase, revealing 4 plastic bags filled with a mysterious blue powder. Upon Mr. Zhang's return to the room, his men usher a heavily drugged man to sit before Lucy and force him to inhale some of the blue powder. The man reacts violently, convulsing briefly before bursting into uncontrollable laughter, prompting Mr. Zhang to end his life with a gunshot. Subsequently, Mr. Zhang proposes a job offer to Lucy, which she vehemently rejects, resulting in her being rendered unconscious. In a different setting, a scientist named Professor Norman is seen delivering a lecture on his research about brain capacity to a large audience. His findings indicate that humans only utilize 10% of their brain capacity. Interestingly, dolphins surpass humans in this aspect, using 20% of their brain capacity, which enables them to map their surroundings and communicate using sonar waves. The narrative then shifts back to Lucy, who regains consciousness in a hotel room. She is taken aback to find a bandage wrapped around her stomach, and shortly after, Mr. Zhang's men enter the room and toss her a set of clothes. Following the previous events, Lucy is brought before Mr. Zhang, accompanied by 3 other individuals. Suddenly, a man of British origin enters the room and elucidates to them that a bag containing a synthetic drug known as CPH4 has been surgically implanted into their stomachs. This invasive procedure was carried out with the intention of smuggling the drug into Europe. The drug, CPH4, is believed to be of high value and is projected to become the next top-selling drug in the market, hence their plan to distribute it globally. In the ensuing events, Lucy finds herself held captive and shackled in a room. One of the thugs, seemingly attracted to her, begins to kick her in the stomach, precisely where the CPH4 is located. This violent act results in the rupture of the drug bag, causing a significant amount of the drug to flood into her system. Amidst this chaos, Lucy experiences an inexplicable phenomenon where she is hurled around the room, even reaching the ceiling before collapsing back onto the floor. Simultaneously, Professor Norman is seen explaining that if humans could unlock 20% of their brain capacity, they would gain control over every cell in their body. If they could access 40% of their brain capacity, they would have the ability to manipulate other people's thoughts and even alter matter at will. When questioned about the implications of humans accessing 100% of their brain capacity, Norman admits his uncertainty. Shortly after, Lucy awakens, her eyes radiating a bright blue hue, and sits upright as if unscathed. A thug enters the room and Lucy, attempting to taunt him, successfully incapacitates him. She then seizes his firearm and exits the room, eliminating the remaining thugs. She also devours all the food left by the thugs before making her departure. In a surprising turn of events, Lucy is shot in the shoulder, but she effortlessly extracts the bullet without experiencing any pain. Subsequently, she coerces a taxi driver to transport her to the nearby Tri-Service General Hospital. En route to the hospital, Lucy experiences an unusual sensation in her body as she can distinctly hear distant conversations. Upon arrival at the hospital, Lucy is able to comprehend the signs as if they were written in English. She then barges into an operating room where surgeons are attending to a patient. After examining the patient's X-ray scans, she concludes that the patient is beyond saving due to the extensive spread of a brain tumor. She then compels the doctor to remove the drug bag from her stomach. During this procedure, Lucy contacts her mother over the phone and expresses that she can perceive everything, including space, air, the Earth's rotation, and even the most profound recesses of her memories. She also takes this opportunity to express her deep love for her mother before ending the call. At this juncture, the medical professionals successfully extract the bag of drugs from Lucy's body. They are informed by Lucy that the bag contains a substance known as CPH4. One of the doctors then explains that natural CPH4 is produced in minuscule amounts by pregnant women during their 6th week of gestation. This compound provides the necessary energy for the development of the fetus. The doctor expresses his astonishment at Lucy's survival given the large quantity of CPH4 in her system. With her physical and cognitive abilities significantly enhanced, Lucy makes her way back to Mr. Zhang's hotel. Here, Mr. Zhang is in the midst of receiving tattoos and facial treatments. Without hesitation, Lucy eliminates his bodyguards and confronts him, pinning him down by stabbing knives into both of his hands. Utilizing her newly acquired telepathic abilities, she extracts the locations of the remaining 3 drug mules from his brain. These locations are based on the images of their plane tickets present in his memory. Having accomplished her mission, Lucy leaves Mr. Zhang writhing in agony. Lucy then returns to her apartment and encounters her roommate, Caroline. She borrows Caroline's laptop and swiftly conducts research on her condition. In her search, she discovers Professor Norman, whose research could potentially hold the key to her survival. Lucy promptly contacts him and shares her current experiences and sensations. She has accessed up to 20% of her brain capacity and has become both unfeeling and merciless. To substantiate her claims, she demonstrates her evolved abilities by manipulating electronic devices, projecting her image onto several electronic gadgets in Norman's hotel room. She concludes the conversation by arranging to meet him in 12 hours. Before departing, Lucy prints out a prescription for Caroline, advising her to make certain lifestyle modifications due to her unhealthy habits. News of Lucy's actions at the hospital the previous night has circulated widely in the media. As a result, she alters her hair color and style prior to boarding her flight. Concurrently, she reaches out to the local police captain, Pierre Del Rio, seeking his assistance in locating the remaining 3 packets of the drug. Armed with this information, the local police succeed in apprehending all the drug mules. Pierre then instructs his team to secure them in Paris. During her flight to Paris, Lucy continues her research, typing rapidly on her laptop. Consequently, the flight attendant requests her to switch off her laptop. However, Lucy requests a glass of champagne instead. Regrettably, she begins to disintegrate as her cells destabilize due to the champagne. Lucy immediately rushes to the restroom, where her body starts to vanish. To counteract her disintegration, she consumes the remaining CPH4, which restores her to her normal state, but she eventually loses consciousness. A short while later, Lucy regains consciousness in a hospital room, with Pierre and several other officers and doctors awaiting her awakening. She then exits the room, causing everyone in the hospital to faint with a mere wave of her finger, with the exception of Pierre. She also disarms Pierre by removing the bullets from his gun and requests him to escort her to the location where the drug mules were previously secured. During their journey, Lucy employs her newfound abilities to intercept everyone's phone signals. After sifting through the myriad of signals, she successfully eavesdrops on a conversation involving G, Mr. Zhang's chief henchman, who is en route to the hospital where the 3 drug mules are being held. Consequently, she commandeers Pierre's car and navigates through the streets with reckless abandon. However, G and his armed entourage have already reached the hospital and located the other drug mules. They escort them to a room and extract the drugs from their stomachs post-mortem. As they attempt to abscond with the drugs, Lucy finally arrives at the hospital. With her brain function at 60%, she manipulates their movements within the hallway and thwarts G's escape by erecting an invisible barrier. She ultimately retrieves the drugs from him and commences her departure from the hospital, instructing Pierre to accompany her. Outside, Mr. Jang spots Lucy in a car, prompting him to command his men to tail her. Shortly thereafter, Lucy and Pierre rendezvous with Norman and his colleagues at a university. Here, Lucy begins to divulge everything she has learned with her enhanced cognitive abilities, which now surpass those of an average human. Meanwhile, Mr. Jang and his men infiltrate the premises and initiate a shootout with the officers. Back in Professor Norman's lab, Lucy delves into a discussion about the nature of time and life and how human perceptions are skewed by their humanity. At her behest, she is intravenously administered the contents of all 3 remaining bags of CPH4. As a result, her brain power escalates to 70%, and her body undergoes a transformation into a black substance that begins to permeate the computers and other electronic devices in the lab. This interaction with matter imbues Lucy with additional energy, thereby augmenting her extraordinary powers. As her brain function continues to surge, she manipulates matter in such a way that she eradicates everything in the lab, leaving the scientists standing in a void of white space. She also morphs all of the electronic devices into a single next-generation supercomputer. On the other side, Mr. Jang and his men are overwhelmed by the police, leading him to order G to blast open the door using a rocket launcher. Fortuitously, Lucy manages to transport her body thousands of miles away to Times Square. She mentally embarks on a journey through space-time with a mere wave of her hand, traversing from the early 20th century in New York to colonial times and even further back to prehistoric times, ultimately reaching the oldest known ancestor of mankind. She shares a serene moment with the Australopithecus, and their fingertips touch, propelling Lucy all the way back to the inception of time and allowing her to witness the Big Bang. However, Mr. Jang enters the lab and slowly aims his gun at Lucy's head. He fires, but by that point, Lucy has reached 100% of her brain capacity and promptly vanishes, transitioning into the space-time continuum. She leaves behind only her clothes and the black supercomputer, while Mr. Jang fires his gun at nothing. Pierre then enters the lab and fatally shoots Mr. Jang. After a while, the supercomputer disintegrates and morphs into a black flash drive, which is retrieved by Professor Norman, thereby fulfilling his long-standing research objectives. Pierre also queries Professor Norman about Lucy's whereabouts, but his cell phone suddenly rings, and he sees a text message indicating that she is omnipresent. The movie concludes with Lucy's voice asserting that this is the potential of life and what must be done with it. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.